is indeed spreading, and the memory of sorrows planted in my brain still remains. We stand and fight the virus. We hear of theories how it grew. From snakes and bats became a flu. Passing the signals from man to man. Now it's growing, getting out of hand.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is 9:05 a.m. on February 2nd, 2020 in Epidemic Village, Conroe, Texas, in the United States. This morning, I took some of my busy time to have a heartfelt talk with the people in Vietnam about the epidemic that is happening in China and how it is affecting the survival of the people of Vietnam. I would like to salute all my fellow Vietnamese back home and overseas. Ladies and gentlemen, some Buddhist followers in Vietnam called me today. They informed me that the Vietnamese Communist Television Network has broadcasted a video to sentence me, Thich Thong Lai, a death penalty. They also called on the people to boycott my Livestream and Facebook. The truth of my birth and death was taught by the great Buddha. We humans have to go through 4 stages of life, which are birth, old age, sickness, and death. We all have to die. But if we die because of drinking, or of being henchmen for the enemy, or because of robbery, those deaths are shameful deaths. However, if we die because of our homeland, for our people, these are meaningful deaths. Therefore, I am not afraid of death. I stood by it, many deathbeds to guide my disciples to the pure land of Amitabha Buddha. I face the death daily. I want to send a message to the people in Vietnam that ever since the outbreak of the corona epidemic, I don't have to condemn the communists because they won't escape this major infection. I want to spend a lot of time analyzing this infection for the people in Vietnam to understand the risk and dangers of the enormous disaster for the Vietnamese and how to preserve the lives of the Vietnamese as much as possible, so Buddhist followers do not have to worry about the communists. The current hot issue around the world is about the Wuhan outbreak. It is no longer only in Wuhan city, but it is spreading throughout the entire country of China. If this plague happens in a small country like Africa or in a poor country, it won't affect the world much. The world can isolate the disease within a week. Unfortunately, it happened in China. The country has a population of 1.5 billion. It is also the second most economical country in the world, and a regime that always hushes the truth. The cost of hushing up the truth is a very expensive price. Sadly, the Vietnamese communists still follow in the wrong path of the Chinese communists. The Chinese Communist Party want to call on God for help, but they won't have a call. They won't have a response to their call. Have you noticed whether the Chinese stock market has opened or not in the past few weeks? China doesn't dare to open. It's trying to avoid its stock market from crashing. If the President of the United States increased the tension of the trade war with China at this moment, he can impose a tax of 20% or 30%. With tens of thousands of flights arriving and transporting goods, the imports of China are still exporting goods daily. It is difficult for the President of the United States to achieve his terms. However, since the corona plague is raving in China and has destroyed the prestige of the Chinese Communist Party, China has become isolated and is disgusted by the whole world. Now I will talk about the Communists, the party that you believe in. I want to analyze for those who are serving in the Vietnamese Communist Party, which includes 4 million members who are seniors in the political ministry, the head of the province, and the party committee. Please listen to this. You have statues and monuments that cost trillions of dollars that you've pinched from the actual construction funds. You always brag about these statues and monuments, but how many billions of dollars have you invested into the healthcare system? The medical systems have to cope with this coronavirus, have billions of dollars. Can you budget it for the outbreak? Do your hospitals have the same equipment as the Chinese hospital? For this epidemic, the Chinese can still rely on advanced medical equipment. It also has a multi-million-dollar reserve from the past 20 years, ever since the Democratic Party had lifted the bans for the Chinese Communist parties to profit. I say this so that the leaders of the Communist Party and people can listen carefully to my commentary to judge if I am wrong or right. Let's say Vietnamese total national GDP is $1, but it costs $2. The national budget is based on the debt and the funds aiding from China. A major source of the national budget is also the amount of remittance of overseas Vietnamese from the United States and Europe. Exporting labor also contribute to the national debt. As the corona epidemic is raging the country, all overseas anti-communist forums do not need to convince the overseas Vietnamese not to come back. If you see the chaos in Thanh Sơn Nhật and Ngoại Bai airport, you will see my words are true. I have many disciples that are crying and waiting for standby tickets to leave Thanh Sơn Nhật airport as soon as possible. Some Buddhist followers return to China to take care of their sick parents. Some come back to sell their properties, and some come back to have fun and to reunite for 3 days of the Lunar New Year. They want to return to the U.S. now, but their returning flights are scheduled after the full moon day of January. They want to get standby tickets to return, but many overseas Vietnamese want to return as well. Too many standbys, but not enough return flights. The American flights are now very limited, coming from China and Chinese public transit. Some of my disciples said that they want to escape Vietnamese at all costs. They are willing to toss their tickets and buy a new ticket to Japan. They would rather wait in Japan for a week than go back to the United States, then wait at Thanh Sơn Nhật airport because of their safety. Some people want to return to Taiwan or South Korea, still safer than staying in Saigon. Unfortunately, it is not easy because the flight from South Korea to Saigon are next to nil. The overseas Vietnamese flights from the U.S. after the Lunar New Year's are very sparse. The air ticket dropped from $1,000 to $500, yet nobody still want to buy it. I don't need to ask the overseas Vietnamese to stop pouring money back to Vietnam to have fun. Then the main source of money to run the communist regime came from China. However, Chinese are panicking about the corona epidemic, and they could not take care of themselves. They don't have enough money to give to Vietnamese communists. The overseas Vietnamese have to run away for their safety. They are waiting at the airport every hour and every minute so they can be on the standby list to get out of Vietnam. Therefore, the source of remittance will be gone. The Communist Party reserve funds won't have enough to stretch for many days. All the trillions of dollars of your monuments and enormous construction highways of the North Coast, the North-South train line. And yet, you did not invest into equipment for your healthcare system. And your healthcare systems are still very poor and outdated. The Communist Party members, do you rely on 108 military hospitals in Hanoi that are reserved for senior officers and unified hospitals that are reserved for Communist parties? At the moment, there are only enough beds for a few dozens of you. In 2 weeks late in this February, when the corona epidemic explodes, tens and thousands of officers will fall to their death while waiting for medical exam. The healthcare system of the Vietnamese Communist Party will no longer have the budget to sustain a wave against this coronavirus. I point out this problem for you to understand. With the poor health budget, it will be impossible to supply a few million saline bags to a high-ranking officer daily. At that time, your wife and children of the Kadirs will die. Those have the right to bear arms. The first bullet you will shoot won't be at the reactionaries, nor this vulnerable in the United States. Your first bullet won't reach that far. You will shoot the hospital nurse in the head because they don't work as hard as they can to save your family. As for now, you only see the poor people die. However, the coronavirus leaves no one, whether party members or not. This is the mentality in Saigon at the moment. I would like to send a message to the poor people. You currently do not have enough money to afford 2 meals a day. Please listen to my analysis. Millions of party members won't be able to protect and take care of themselves when the epidemic breaks out in Vietnam. Which hospital beds will be available for the poor? For factory workers who earn less than 200 USD a month, for taxi drivers, or for Grab drivers, for lottery tickets, or for street vendors. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you are sick or not, try to leave to the countryside. Whoever have a home time in the province, in the southwest of the country, or in remote places, you should leave before the corona outbreaks, so you have a chance to survive this pandemic. This pandemic is alarming globally. The Vietnamese Communist Party finally declared to suspend all flights from China to Vietnam, and from Vietnam to China. This morning I have posted pictures at Long Song border gates, with hundreds and thousands of Chinese still pouring into entering Vietnam. Although the Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Xuân Phúc announced all flights to be suspended due to the contamination by the International Aviation Association. However, the train continues to support tens and thousands of Chinese who may be carrying the coronavirus. Once again, I call out to the party members, when your father, your mother, your wife, or children dies, your enemy will be not this reactionary monk, Thich Thong Lai. Your enemy is the supreme leader of the Communist Party of Vietnam, due to the crime of hiding the truth that caused China to corrupt. One day, not far away, China will have to open its door to receive the aid of the United Nations. At the moment, China does not accept the aid from America because it doesn't want the United States and the United Nations Army to enter to see the epidemic infecting the entire country. When China is forced to open its doors for the United Nations Security Council to enter and control the epidemic, without the intervention of the United Nations on this outbreak, half of 9 billion people in the world will die. That is almost 5 billion. Therefore, the United Nations must come to help China to stop the epidemic. Upon the arrival of the United Nations, the prestige China will be shattered, and the Chinese regime will be toppled. The regime of the Vietnamese Communist Party will collapse soon right after. They collapse not because of the reactionaries, nor because of the resistant force or the 3 cleansing of Lisa Pham. The communist regime will collapse because there was no money to fight this coronavirus. The Vietnamese communists never set aside a budget of several $billions to prevent a pandemic. The communists always built trillions of dollar monuments, built entertainment centers, special economy zones, or built places to make money because they thought they lived forever and never die. As of now, the communists are being bewildered. In 2 weeks from now, the people of Saigon will fall to their death. Those dead are not just the poor, but also the senior members of the Communist Party, their parents, their wives, and children. It will take longer for the Chinese regime to topple. If the pandemic breaks out, Vietnam will become the second Wuhan. The World Health Organization, WHO, already declared that Nha Trang City will be the second Wuhan city to spread the virus at global scale. The city of Nha Trang has slowly turned into a viral incubator with increasing numbers of infected patients in Vietnam. Ladies and gentlemen, do not listen to the report by the communists. The United States Council knows the total number of infected patients in Vietnam more clearly than the Communist Party members. Don't be so naive to believe in the Communist Party's report. Whatever they said, you should multiply it 100 times more. 3 people died from the coronavirus in Saigon Hospital and were given 3 coffins for their burials. I received this information from the U.S. Council, so the Communist Party cannot condemn me. Don't sentence me and all the Vietnamese people to death. Everyone have to answer when God calls their name. When this epidemic occurs, the poor people do not have the opportunity to enter the hospital. You will have to wait and stand in line and get infected with the virus from the sick people. That's how the plague will start. The Vietnamese people will die much more than all the youths from the south and north died in the war between 1954 and 1975. The loss of life in this pandemic will be far greater than all the people in the 6 border provinces had died because of China. Use your head to think about the budget of the Vietnamese Communist government. How many billions of dollars they spent on health care for treatment when an epidemic occurs. You are a senior party member, therefore you know better than me. This is not a threat to scare you, but rather for you to pay attention. When the Communist broadcaster mentions someone, especially a Vietnamese overseas, a voice to critique and condemn, to sentence to death because the person was telling the truth, he is telling the communist evil heart. He is the one who loves his people. When someone receives the Communist Medal of Merit for the party, those are Vietnamese traitors, communist henchmen, or the enemy's allies. This suffering is happening all over the world. The whole world is on alert. The stock market of China has to close for several days because if it opens, all the factories will fly away. China will lose hundreds and billions of dollars. China is the second richest country with the most population in the world, yet it still cannot stand the corona flu due to the concealment of the information and lying to the people. It is karma that they have to pay. Sadly, the Vietnamese Communist Party continues to go on the same path as China. Upon announcement of border closure, tens and thousands of Chinese communists still line up to enter the friendly border gates at Long Sang. Don't listen to what the Viet Cong said, but look at the pictures scattered around the globe. I don't need to curse you anymore. I just analyze with the heart of a Vietnamese. How much the Communist Party has reserved for their budget. Nguyễn Đức Trung made clearly that Hanoi, the capital of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, yet there are merely 40 protective suits for a few thousand doctors and nurses. Who will be able to wear the protective suit? and who will not. Those who wear the suit in a day must change, and if they don't, they will get infected. Therefore, all the medical team members cannot wear these protective suits. When infected, no doctors or nurse will be able to stand to treat you. They will run away, and the healthcare system will collapse. With the empty national budget and the suppression of the truth, thousands of people will die every day. The corpse will be filled in the streets. It will be like the famine in 1945. The lack of sanitation staff to collect corpse. This virus will freely attack 90 million fellow Vietnamese. This corona army is very cruel. It attacks every social class and at all ages. As you see someone crack the head of a dog or killing a few innocent people, is still not as evil as the leader of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, who continues to keep open its border, whom allow train carrying hundreds and thousands of Chinese to enter Vietnam to spread this flu. The gong of death has sounded. In 2 weeks, you will see the United States will evacuate its staff who work at the consul in Vietnam. In the capital, Hanoi, still, there are a few hundred people. The consulate in Saigon and Da Nang have a few dozen people. They can evacuate all their staff with a single 747 flight. The overseas Vietnamese who are still stuck in Tan Son Nhut Airport, you can verify my words. You waited day and night to return to Vietnam from death, and now you can't wait to escape from the great pandemic in Saigon. Tan Son Nhut Airport is a place that receives the most coronavirus. It is a place that transports the virus from the Wu direct flight to others. There are 600,000 Chinese from Wu or in transit. I recommend all the Vietnamese who have U.S. citizenship from the United States, Australia, and Europe try not to regret your money. You can't wait for standby anymore. Buy the new ticket as soon as possible, then leave Vietnam even though you have stayed in Taiwan or South Korea for a week. It is better than staying at Tan Son Nhut Airport. If you decide to stay, you will have to surrender to saying, God has called me. The Vietnamese communist has been surrendered. Once the epidemic breaks out, the Viet Cong will be 100 times crueler than China. At the time, no one needs to overthrow the communist regime. No one needs to shoot the doctors in the hospital. Those high-ranking party members will use their gun to execute the hospital reporters and nurses who fail to treat for their wives, children, and parents. The guns will be fired. Whether you follow the communists or not, you will end up dead. Saigon and Hanoi will be isolated. There will be no food and medicine available. Chaos will be everywhere. The streets will be full of corpses. The virus will be airborne. Where is hell? It is in Vietnam in 2 weeks. Do not condemn me to death. The coronavirus has condemned the Vietnamese Communist Party to death. I advise my fellow Vietnamese plan to migrate back to the countryside as soon as possible. Stay away from Saigon and Hanoi as far as you can. I do not differentiate whether you are communist or Republican. I only know you are Vietnamese. Please try to preserve your life until the day the World Health Organization can stop the corona pandemic. I want to tell the high-ranking party members and communist leaders that you know better than me. This is no doctor or nurse to treat you with medicine. Without protective equipment or budget to support the hospital system, the hospital will be the place to transmit infection, the place where the powerful party members revenge their opponents. Currently, chaos are happening in the Chinese hospital. People are ready to kill doctors and behead nurses because they cannot save their loved ones. One by one, their family members will be untreated and death. That was Chinese communists, and Viet Cong will be far worse. Poor people, please try to buy food, clean drinking water, and vitamins as much as possible. Please reside to the countryside where there is coconut water. When the epidemic breaks out, you should try to drink coconut water to boost the immune system and detoxify your body. Wash your hands as much as possible so the virus won't land on your eyes and nose. Virus are usually reside in your hands. Please try to protect yourself. Do not let God call on you. This virus was created by the Chinese, not by God. It is exploding because of the one side hiding truth information. There are Chinese doctors and people who spread the news regarding Wuhan got epidemic. All of them were arrested and still not released because they told the truth. Please be prepared before it's too late. The Vietnamese communists continue to open the borders to welcome the enemy and the virus to kill their own people. The Communist Party is the enemy of 95 million Vietnamese people. Someday, the 3 million Vietnamese military personnel have tens and thousands of relatives die. At that time, they will not point their guns to shoot the patriots and prisoners of conscience. The 5 million police will not work for Thu Lam. Instead, they will come to ask for revenge. The Providential Party will not go on oppressing people in Dung Thâm, killing families like Sir Lê Đình Kim, but they will come to Nguyễn Phú Trọng, Nguyễn Xuân Phúc, and 400 representatives to ask for justice. While the world is appalling and trying to find a way to stop this epidemic, the Vietnamese people still ignore and believe the communist propaganda. If I did not tell you the true news, then the Communist Party will not broadcast me on their television network. Inadvertently, it is advertised my voice further and broadens the understanding of the still ignorant Communist Party members. The answer will come in 2 weeks. I recommend the poor people prepare to evacuate right away. Without epidemic, the hospitals are already overloaded. Once the epidemic happens, there won't be any budget for emergency aid to provide for nurses and doctors. Please stay away as soon as possible. Please retreat to a remote place to increase the chance of survival. With luck, you will see the countryside again. After the rain, the sky will be bright. Don't be foolish to believe in God's call. God did not call anything. These are the death calls by the communists. The Communist Party is creating this death for the people of Vietnam and for themselves. Sincerely, Thich Thong Lai.
Nó tha hồ mà tấn công vào trong 95 triệu đồng bào Việt Nam. Cái đội quân Corona này nó tàn ác, nó tấn công vào tất cả mọi giai cấp, mọi lứa tuổi. Cho nên quý vị nhìn thấy người ta đập đầu một con chó, người ta giết hại một vài người dân lành, nhưng mà không ác bằng những tên lãnh đạo của Cộng hòa xã hội chủ nghĩa Việt Nam vẫn tiếp tục mở cảng, vẫn tiếp tục cho những đoàn tàu xe lửa chở hàng trăm ngàn lao động tiếp tục vào để truyền bệnh cho dân tộc Việt Nam. Cho nên hồi chuông báo tử đã đến. 2 tuần lễ nữa quý vị sẽ coi Hoa Kỳ sẽ di tản nhân viên của họ. Nhân viên của Hoa Kỳ làm việc ở tòa lãnh sự quán ở Việt Nam không nhiều. Tòa đại sứ ở tại thủ đô Hà Nội thì có vài trăm người. Lãnh sự quán ở Sài Gòn thì làm việc cũng có vài chục người. Chỉ cần một chuyến 757 là họ di tản hết nhân viên họ. Và những Việt kiều bây giờ còn kẹt ở thị trường Tân Sơn Nhất. Quý vị kiểm chứng lời tôi nói đi. Quý vị ngày đêm trong ngóng về Việt Nam ăn Tết, ngày đêm trong khóc hỏi cái cơn đại dịch đang xảy ra ở tại Sài Gòn, và phi trường Tân Sơn Nhất là cái nơi tiếp nhận virus corona nhiều nhất, bệnh dịch corona nhiều nhất. Nơi đó là nơi vận chuyển những con vi khuẩn bệnh dịch corona từ những chuyến bay trực tiếp ở phi trường Vũ Hán vào tới Tân Sơn Nhất. Nơi đó là cái nơi có 600 mấy chục ngàn người Tàu đã từng quá giảng qua Tân Sơn Nhất. Cho nên tôi khuyên tất cả các Việt kiều, những người Việt Nam có quốc tịch Hoa Kỳ, quốc tịch Úc Châu và Âu Châu, cố gắng đừng kiếm tiền, không thể nào mà standby được nữa. Hãy mua vé càng sớm càng tốt, rời qua. Dù bị kẹt ở Hàn Quốc một tuần, dù bị kẹt ở Nhật Bản một tuần, vẫn hơn là ở tại phi trường Tân Sơn Nhất, để rồi chịu một câu trả lời trời kêu ai nấy dạ. Khi này là thất thủ, Việt Cộng sẽ thất thủ, và khi nạn dịch phát tán bùng nổ, Việt Cộng còn thê thảm gấp 100.000 Tàu Cộng. Và lúc đó không cần ai lật đổ chế độ cộng sản, không cần ai bắn giết những tên bác sĩ đang làm việc trong bệnh viện, mà chính những đảng viên cao cấp sẽ dùng súng, họ sẽ bắn chết những tên bảo vệ bệnh viện, những tên y tá đã không chữa cho vợ họ, con họ đã chết, cha họ đã chết, bây giờ tới phiên mẹ họ, tại sao không trị? Và những loạt súng đã sẽ bắn lên, và lúc đó có theo cộng sản cũng chết, không theo cộng sản cũng chết. Sài Gòn sẽ bị cô lập, Hà Nội sẽ bị cô lập, thực phẩm không có, thuốc men không có, hỗn loạn xảy ra, xác chết đầy đường, vi trùng thì ở khắp nơi trong không khí. Địa ngục trần gian ở đâu? Xin thưa là ở tại Việt Nam trong vòng 2 tuần lễ nữa. Chóng mắt mà coi. Cái gì đừng có lên án tôi. Corona đã lên án tử Đảng Cộng sản Việt Nam. Tôi bây giờ tôi khuyên đồng bào hãy lên chương trình di tản về ngay vùng quê càng sớm càng tốt, tránh xa Sài Gòn và Hà Nội càng sớm càng tốt, tránh xa Nha Trang càng sớm càng tốt. Tôi không thể quý vị là đảng viên hay là người của quốc gia, tôi chỉ biết quý vị là người Việt Nam. Quý vị hãy cố gắng giữ mạng sống cho tới ngày hệ thống y tế thế giới chặn được cái làn dịch corona này. Cho nên tôi nói cái này, quý vị nằm trong cái đảng viên cao cấp, lãnh đạo của cộng sản, quý vị rành hơn tôi. Không có tiền, không có thuốc, không có một ngân sách để hỗ trợ cho cái hệ thống bệnh viện, không có hệ thống bảo vệ sức khỏe, y áo bảo hộ cho cái dàn bác sĩ và y tá, thì ai còn phục vụ cho quý vị? Tới giờ đó bệnh viện là cái ổ để trị liệu, là cái nơi để mà các đảng viên có thế lực trút căm thù. Hiện giờ loạn lạc đã xảy ra ở tại các bệnh viện ở bên Tàu Cộng. Người ta sẵn sàng đâm chết bác sĩ, chặt đầu y tá, vì họ không thể chịu được cái cảnh người thân họ lần lượt ngã gục mà không được điều trị. Đó là Tàu Cộng. Còn Việt Cộng còn tệ hơn nữa. Đồng bào nghèo khổ cố gắng thu gom mua được lương thực chừng nào tốt chừng đó, mua nước sạch và dự trữ những vitamin về những vùng quê nơi có nước dừa. Khi nạn dịch xảy ra, quý vị cố gắng uống nước dừa để mà dùng cái hệ thống miễn dịch thải độc, cố gắng rửa tay thật nhiều để mà cái vi trùng nó không nằm ở trên mắt quý vị, nó không nằm ở mũi quý vị, mà nó nằm ở cái bàn tay này nè. Cho nên cố gắng bảo vệ, đừng để trời kêu ai nấy dạ. Con vi trùng này do Tàu Cộng làm ra, không phải ông trời làm ra. Con vi trùng này bộc phát là do sự giấu giếm sự thật, thông tin một chiều. Có hàng loạt những bác sĩ người Tàu, hàng loạt những người dân Tàu Cộng đã tung tin Vũ Hán đã bị bệnh dịch, những người đã bị bắt. Và giờ này những người đó cũng đã được thả ra, vì những người đó đã nói lên sự thật. Cho nên giờ này chuẩn bị đi trước khi quá trễ. Hỡi những người cộng sản Việt Nam còn tiếp tục mở cửa khẩu để đón giặc, để đón dịch, để đón diệt trùng vào giết dân tộc, quý vị sẽ là kẻ thù của 95 triệu đồng bào Việt Nam. Và tới một ngày nào đó, 3 triệu quân đội nhân dân Việt Nam, họ có chừng vài chục ngàn thân nhân chết, họ không quay súng vào để mà bắn vào những người yêu nước nữa đâu, họ không bắn vào những tù nhân lương tâm đâu. Và lúc đó 5 triệu công an nhân dân, họ có vài triệu người chết là cha là mẹ của họ, họ sẽ không làm việc với Tô Lâm đâu, mà họ sẽ tìm Tô Lâm để mà hỏi tội. Và đến những trên chính ủy, tỉnh ủy, họ không có đi đàn áp đồng bào ở Đồng Tâm, giết hại những gia đình như Lê Đình Kình đâu, mà họ sẽ tìm Nguyễn Phú Trọng và mười mấy tên trong Ủy viên Bộ Chính trị, kể cả Nguyễn Xuân Phúc và 400 đại biểu Quốc hội để hỏi tội đó. Cho nên tới giờ phút này, thế giới đang kinh hoàng, đang tìm cách chặn cái làn sóng dịch bệnh này, thì dân tộc Việt Nam vẫn ngây ngây ngơ ngơ tin vào những tuyên truyền của Đảng Cộng sản. Nếu thật sự tôi không nói đúng tin đen của Đảng Cộng sản, nếu thật sự tôi không nói những tin tức đúng sự thật, thì Đảng Cộng sản không có đưa tôi lên đài truyền hình của chúng nó đâu. Vô tình nó lại quảng cáo cho tôi để tiếng nói của tôi đi xa hơn và mở rộng cái sự hiểu biết cho những tên Đảng Cộng sản vẫn còn mê muội. 2 tuần nữa câu trả lời sẽ đến cho tụi bay biết. Phiên những đồng bào nghèo khổ chuẩn bị chương trình di tản ngay từ lúc này. Chưa có bệnh dịch mà bệnh viện còn quá tải. Khi có bệnh dịch rồi, không có một cái ngân sách nào để viện trợ khẩn cấp cho những người đội ngũ y tá bác sĩ, thì cái việc nên tránh xa các bệnh viện nó càng tốt càng tốt. Lúc lui về trong những vùng quê hẻo lánh thì cơ hội sống còn sẽ còn may mắn để mà nhìn quê hương sẽ sau khi mưa trời lại sáng. Chết hàng loạt, đó là sự thật, chớ có dạy mà dựa vào câu. Ngày hôm qua có nhiều đệ tử tôi Sài Gòn nói: thưa sư phụ, trời kêu ai nấy dạ, trời không có kêu quý vị đâu, mà Đảng Cộng sản đang tạo ra cái chết này cho dân tộc Việt Nam và cho chính bản thân họ. Trân trọng kính chào.